Oh, jeez. Hello, fellow dirtmen. Oh. Hello, hello, hello. Is Pete Hegseth going to leave the administration? Probably not. He won't leave unless he's forced to. Hi, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What is this? The only way to restore rule of the people in America is to impeach judges. Activist judges must be removed from the bench where there is no justice. Isn't that something? Let's see what Trump has to say. I got water. Trump hasn't tweeted anything today. Do our usual now, the market. All right. Granted, the market only just opened. It's 11 in the morning. But the Dow up 2% today. S&P up 2% today. NASDAQ up 2.5% today. Let's gotta look at the 1 month. Still terrible. The 1 month. Still terrible. And the 1 month. Still terrible. Isn't that something? What about the dirt stock? Let's see. No chart for the day. Hey, dirt's on the way up. Look at that. We love to see that. We love to see that. Let's fucking go. Oh, yeah, I can put the Patreon link in there. Hold on. Crazy world we live in. A very, very crazy world. What should I make next week? Italian chicken rollatini stuffed with prosciutto and provolone. Yeah. Okay. Yo, Chris, keep up the good work. You're a valuable source of truly objective empirical information and evidence about the subjects you present. I look forward to every stream. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. There we go. Patreon link is in the description. Supreme Court weighs parents' objections to LGBTQ content in elementary schools. Some parents in Montgomery County schools say that they have a religious right to ensure that their children aren't exposed to LGBTQ stuff in the classroom. We'll watch that in a second. The Supreme Court on Tuesday considers the latest dispute that pits religious rights against LGBTQ rights as the justices weigh parents' objections over books made available in a school district, elementary schools, that feature stories about gay and transgender characters. At issue are books included in the English language arts curriculum in Montgomery County, Maryland. The dispute arose in 2022 after the school board in Montgomery County, a large and diverse jurisdiction just outside Washington, decided it wanted more storybooks reflecting LGBTQ stories to better reflect the people who live there. Meanwhile, just so you understand, these same exact people advocate to force the Bible to be mandatory reading for all students. But God forbid their child learns what a gay person is or what a trans person is in like a children's story. Yeah, no, Jack, you can't turn away MAGA people at a car wash, but what you can do is upcharge them. You can upcharge them. You know, just an extra $5. See what they do. Let's see what NBC has to say on this.
Schools. It all stems from a group of parents in Maryland. They want to be able to opt their children out of lessons that involve books with themes of gender and sexuality. The reason, they say, is that it goes against their religion. NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor joins us now with this reporting. Yamiche, I know you've been following this case from the start. Walk us through what's expected to happen tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in a case about whether Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland is violating the Constitution by not allowing parents to opt their children out of a policy that requires teachers to read students at least one book a year focused on LGBTQ+ teen themes.
So these people are bitching and moaning about their religious rights because their students have to read one book per year about gay people. One book per year. And these people are taking it to the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is trying to deport U.S. citizens without due process to a fucking extermination camp in a nation that they've never been to. And the Supreme Court doesn't give a fuck. Or actually, the Supreme Court does give a fuck, but Trump doesn't give a fuck what the Supreme Court says. This nation is going to hell in a handbasket.
Themes and diversity. I traveled to the community to see what this is at the heart of this case. And again, oral arguments are going to be tomorrow. Take a listen. In the largest school district in Maryland, a dispute over books, gender, and religion is pitting families against each other in a case now coming before the Supreme Court. At issue, a policy by Montgomery County Public Schools that does not allow parents to opt their children out of lessons that use these books and feature LGBTQ+ themes, including same-sex love stories and transgender characters. In 2023, a group of parents who are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox filed a lawsuit saying the school policy violates their First Amendment rights to freedom of religion. But the policy has been upheld by lower courts. The case is bringing a heated national debate to this community.
The Islamic faith and numerous other faiths, we believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Wael El-Kasheri, a Muslim parent, has...
Then don't send your fucking kid to public school. You don't want your kid to learn about other cultures and other genders and other sexualities? Private school. Homeschool. Make your child fucking hate you by removing them from the rest of society and indoctrinating them into your religious cult. Do that then. Then do that.
Has pulled his 9-year-old daughter out of the school system and is now homeschooling her. He is not...
Called it. That man's daughter is going to hate him. Homeschooling is not good for kids. It's not good for them. They don't learn how to assimilate. They don't learn how to make friends. And they don't learn anything because you're not a teacher. You're not qualified to teach children. You don't know fucking anything.
Part of the lawsuit, but has been organizing protests against the policy.
Well, I'm responsible for my child, and I want the accommodations to make sure that that child is raised in an ecosystem that I believe does not contradict my religious beliefs.
Jeffrey Gans and his husband, Dennis Williams, support the school's policy.
You may not agree with homosexuality, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So by removing a child from the classroom, it's sending a totally negative message to that other child in that classroom who might be struggling with their identity.
If I could have had a book like that when I was young, it would have made all the difference in the world.
El-Kasheri says he doesn't want the school system to change its curriculum, just to allow him to opt out, though he thinks some of the books are not age appropriate for students.
Children at a young age are very impressionable.
Eric Baxter, a lawyer for the parents suing, plans to argue the case before the High Court.
The Supreme Court has long said that schools aren't there to impose one ideological view, that we learn to get along by respecting each other's views, and that's all we're asking for here.
Montgomery County Public Schools.
Well, that's the problem, is that in elementary schools, in public elementary schools where, you actually are trying to make good people, you teach them that all people are created equal. I remember being taught that. You teach them that, nobody is better than another person, that whether you're gay or straight or trans or black or white or Jewish or Christian or Muslim, we are all created equal. The thing is, religious zealots don't believe that. Religious zealots in Israel believe that they are superior to all others. Religious zealots in Iran believe that they are superior to all others. Religious zealots in the Vatican believe they are superior to all others. These people believe that all people are not created equal, that some people upon birth are created inferior to them because of their religious beliefs. So when they send their kid to a school that teaches, the golden rule, treat others the way that you want to be treated, well, that is a violation of their quote-unquote religious freedom, because they want to teach their child that only they were created better. Only they were made in God's image, and the gays and the trans and the blacks and the non-conforming to whatever religion it is, no, those people are less than. Yeah, but me, no, I'm perfect and humble.
Did not respond to our multiple requests for comment. But in court documents, the school district said teachers are not permitted to enforce a particular viewpoint or ask students to change how they feel.
If we allow kids to opt out of this curriculum, of these books, where do we draw the line? Do we opt out of teaching about religion to my children because I don't want them to learn about a religion different?
We're headed to the point where people are going to opt out of teaching their kids about the Holocaust because they themselves don't believe the Holocaust happened.
Now the 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court will have the final say.
Wow, Yamiche, great report. How do people on both sides of this issue feel about what the court may decide?
Well, it's a good question. We know the school district has won in lower court, so they're hoping to win again at the high court. That said, the parents and lawyers against the school district's policy told me they feel very confident that they will win this case, especially after President Trump successfully ran for re-election, in part by pushing back against teaching about LGBTQ plus themes and transgender Americans. And this is, of course, a 6-3 conservative majority court that experts say is more likely to side with parents saying their religious rights are being violated. Cincle?
Kamisha Sindor, thanks so much.
My religious rights are being violated because you taught my son that gay people exist. Dude, there is no bigger babies than conservative white people. There is no bigger babies. They make everything about themselves. They have it so good, and yet they still bitch and moan about the right. My right, you're being taking away my right. You're taking away my right. Oh. White House looking to replace Pete Hegseth as defense secretary. You gonna make me buy? Okay. The White House has begun the process of looking for a new leader at the Pentagon to replace Pete Hegseth, according to a U.S. official. Oh, we already read this yesterday. It was updated. What the fuck is this? A press statement from Marco Rubio, Secretary of Cuck, building an America First State Department. We are facing tremendous challenges across the globe. To deliver on President Trump's America First foreign policy, we must make the State Department great again. In its current form, the department is bloated, bureaucratic, and unable to perform its essential diplomatic mission in this new era of great power competition. Over the past 15 years, the department's footprint has had unprecedented growth, and costs have soared. But far from seeing a return on investment, taxpayers have seen less effective and efficient diplomacy. The sprawling bureaucracy created a system more beholden to radical political ideology than advancing America's core national interests. That's why today I am announcing a comprehensive reorganization plan that will bring the department into the 21st century. This approach will empower the department from the ground up, from the bureaus to the embassies. Region-specific functions will be consolidated to increase functionality, redundant offices will be removed, and non-statutory programs that are misaligned with America's core national interests will cease to exist. Under President Trump's leadership, we have a commander-in-chief committed to putting America and Americans first. As his Secretary of State, I am confident a reformed State Department will meet the moment and help make our country great once again. What the fuck is this? I'm not reading that. I'm not going through that. We're not fucking going through that. That's stupid as shit. Luigi. So there was, God damn it, Luigi. There was something I wanted to cover. It was on NBC, Dana Bash. Luigi! Hey, come here. Dude, this guy's such a fucking loser. Oh my God, he's such a fucking loser. Luigi! Who was this guy? She was interviewing somebody. Fucking Christ, Luigi! Come here! Who was this guy she's interviewing? Tom Emmer. Yeah. Watch this. Yo, you guys want to see an example of why leftism is the only way to save this nation? You guys want to see an example of how the right-wing pundits are actually going to dismantle our democracy? Here.
I want to ask you about another idea that President Trump is floating. He's done so repeatedly, and that's the idea of deporting U.S. citizens convicted of violent crimes to El Salvador. You're not only...
You know what? First, let me record this. What's up, guys? It looks like the Republican Party is falling in line with the new fascist order to deport U.S. citizens without due process and to ship them off to an extermination camp in a nation that they've never been to, El Salvador. So we've got Tom Emmer, a Republican representative, here on CNN. Now, I know you don't like CNN, but it doesn't fucking matter. I want you to watch this guy refuse to answer the question because... Guys, as we know, Republicans are spineless. Democrats are spineless also, but the Republicans are so afraid of Donald Trump that they won't even, criticize him for things that are wildly unpopular. And now, I don't know if you know this, but a recent poll shows that only 20% of Americans, 21% of Americans, actually support sending U.S. citizens to the extermination camp in El Salvador. And as we know, about 20 to 30% of the MAGA voting bloc are in the fascist death cult. They're currently drinking the Kool-Aid. So those people will support anything. If Trump wants to invade Greenland, they're on board. If Trump wants to nuke France, they're on board. If Trump wants to fuck their wives, they're on board. So we're going to watch this interview here and just to give you an example of what you need to be preparing for, because these deportations, they're already happening, okay? I know that we know about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We know about the gay hairdresser. We know about, the guy with the autism awareness tattoo. We know about a handful of people who have been sent to these camps erroneously, and even the White House admitted that they fucked up. But those are the ones that we know of. Literally hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, have been deported without due process. And a big question that I have is, where are all the women? Where are all the women? Because we do know that Trump tried to deport 11 women to the El Salvadorian extermination camp. And Nayib Bukele said, we're not taking them, you send them home. And he sent them back. So where are and what are they doing with all of the women? Because... there are women, too, that are being rounded up. Why don't we see any footage of them? Where are we putting these women? Anyway, let's watch this interview and see how Tom Emmer refuses to answer this question. Before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. If you do want to help the channel financially, you can become a patron on Patreon. You can become a member on YouTube. You could buy some Valenti Videos merch, and you can use that 40% off discount on Ground News. Let's watch.
I want to ask you about another idea that President Trump is floating. He's done so repeatedly, and that's the idea of deporting U.S. citizens convicted of violent crimes to El Salvador. You're not only a lawmaker, you are an attorney. Do you think the federal government has any legal authority to do that with American citizens?
No. The answer is no. I'm not an attorney. I did not go to law school. I did not pass the bar. And I know, no, it's not legal. There's no possible way to legally deport a U.S. citizen to an extermination camp in El Salvador. Now, watch how this Republican representative, actual attorney, went to law school, refuses to answer the question because he's afraid of losing his job. I just noticed my volume was on max. I'll turn it up a little bit, okay? Turning it up a little bit. There we go.
I think right now what he's doing is absolutely legal, which is removing those that do not have legal status.
No, again, let's watch the question because I want to keep track of how many times he dodges the question.
Or an attorney. Do you think the federal government has any legal authority to do that with American citizens?
That's one.
I think right now what he's doing is absolutely legal, which is removing those that do not have legal status in this country that have proven to be the worst of the worst. This is what he promised Americans he would do. And you talk about me listening to the senator. The senator literally doesn't do anything for his constituent who is murdered mercilessly by an illegal alien let in under the Biden administration's open border.
He just said he didn't do anything for his constituent who was murdered. What is he supposed to do for a constituent who was randomly murdered by a random undocumented immigrant? What can anybody do for somebody in that situation? What can you do? What do you want him to do? And this is also, just so you understand, these people, they get their orders from the top. Okay, and we have seen the Trump administration released some like executive order on the website or some like press where it was like, here's a list of people that were killed by undocumented immigrants that Chris Van Hollen has done nothing about. What the fuck are we talking about right now?
Border policy, but boy, when an illegal alien gets deported to his country of origin, he flies right down to represent him. It seems to me that these Democrats are...
He's talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who is not an illegal alien.
...representing the illegal aliens against the very constituents, the U.S. citizens that they're supposed to be protecting.
What about the idea that the White House says that it is looking into whether or not U.S. citizens who are convicted of violent crimes can be imprisoned in El Salvador?
Well, again, what they're focused on and what you and I are focusing on is what's actually happening, which is deporting terrorists, cartel members, rapists, murderers. The worst of the worst is exactly what Donald Trump promised during the campaign, and that's why 77 million people, Dana, elected him to follow through on this promise, and that's what they're doing.
That's not why. 77 million people voted for him because 77 million people in this nation are incredibly uneducated.
Okay. I just want to give you one more chance
to
say whether or not you're okay with U.S. citizens. The idea of it. I know it's not happening, but he has actively said more than once that they are looking into it. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah. Again.
What? Yeah? Was that a yeah, like you're starting to answer the question? Because that was a very wrong time to say yeah. That was a very bad... I don't believe he meant yeah, like yeah. But I think that was the worst possible time to do that. To do like a filler. Like a, yeah, well, you know, like...
U.S. citizens, the idea of it. I know it's not happening, but he has actively said more than once that they are looking into it. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, the issue that we're dealing with is I've got a president who wants to protect U.S. citizens.
He just refuses to answer. Look at it, looks like a fucking deer in headlights.
From violence, from crime, having their children solicited, murdered, etc., versus Democrats who seem to want to protect illegal aliens in this country for whatever reason.
This guy's got his talking points straight from the fucking White House, directly from the White House. So, listen, I don't know what to tell you to convince you that the Trump administration is a bunch of fascist oligarchs who are trying to dismantle democracy and create a technocracy. But, I mean, I'll just show you this. We've covered this many, many times. This will be the last thing that I show you in this video. We're going to keep the live stream going, but this is for the MAGA chuds who haven't seen this. Here's your laminated-faced cunt.
So the president has discussed this idea quite a few times publicly. He's also discussed it privately. You're referring to the president's idea for American citizens to potentially be deported. These would be heinous, violent criminals who have broken our nation's laws repeatedly. And these are violent, repeat offenders in American streets. The president has said, if it's legal, right? If there is a legal pathway to do that, he's not sure. We are not sure if there is. It's an idea that he has simply floated and has.
There is no legal pathway to do that. And then the last thing I want to show you is Trump saying it himself. Trump, homegrowns are next. Here's Trump saying it himself.
Yeah. I said, homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Now the reason why.
Come on.
The reason why it's such bad quality is because Trump and Bukele didn't know that the cameras were on. This was recorded by El Salvadorian media. The Trump administration had no idea that was going on. But, yeah, I mean, and then also Trump said it himself. Trump says to deport U.S. citizens. And then even when he knew the cameras were on and he wasn't, like, hot-mic'd, he said it himself during his meeting with Bukele. I don't think I have the video for you. Oh, yes, I think I do. Let's see.
I said it to Pam. I don't know what
you mentioned that individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What do you think? There's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in. We have bad ones too, and I'm all for it because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security. If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. Now, we're studying the laws right now. Pam is studying. If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people.
Dude, I can't believe there are Americans out there who see footage like this and go, yeah, these are the brave heroes wearing their masks to cover their identities because they know that what they're doing is so heinous that God himself doesn't want to see their face. This is like when fucking people put a towel over their head to eat an ortolan. Anyway, yeah, listen, if you can see footage like this, if you could see that American citizens are going to be sent there, if you could see that migrants are being sent there with no due process, if you could see all of that and still be on the side of it and think that it's good, you're a sociopath, you're a fascist, you really shouldn't be allowed to be around children. Anyway, that's all I got for you. If you're here on the live, you stay. If you're watching this recorded on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you click that video over there. I promise it's a banger. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll catch you in the next Valenti VOD. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck are we doing? You know, I have hope because I see every day more and more people jumping off of the Trump train. I have hope that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. But I didn't think it would take this long for this many people to jump, you know? Trump is going to start sending U.S. citizens without due process to these extermination camps, and there will still be millions of people cheering for it. And these people, they do jump ship, but only when it starts to affect them, right? If these people, I mean, I don't know if you know this, 1 in 5 families in the United States have an undocumented immigrant within the family. As soon as these people find out that, like, one of their family members has been sent, or as soon as these people see that the price of groceries has skyrocketed, or as soon as a small business owner who imports a lot of Chinese goods for his business realizes he's going to go under, only then, or even if, you know, a MAGA voter who's married gets his secret girlfriend pregnant and they're in a red state and the girlfriend can't get an abortion, only when these things affect their lives do they realize, like, oh my God, politics has a direct effect on my life. And the thing is, politics has a direct effect on on everybody's lives. And it's just that for most MAGA voters, for, you know, straight white men, Christian men, most of this stuff doesn't affect their lives, so they don't think it's bad. But it's going to. You might not care about politics, but politics cares about you. And it's going to keep a tab on you. It's always going to watch you. It's fucking obscene. Big fan of yours from Australia. With the Insurrection Act, do you think he'd wait if something happens naturally, or he might try in justification that would help him trigger it? Listen, I think that they've already been greasing up the American public to enact the Insurrection Act by saying that there's an invasion and that there's tens of millions of undocumented criminal rapist gang members murdering people left and right in the streets. I think that one more Laken Riley will be enough. One more example of a Laken Riley style event, and they'll use that as justification to just invoke the Insurrection Act. That's why I was so worried about April 19th's hands off to Electric Boogaloo protests, because I know controlled opposition. I understand how it works. I thought maybe there'd be a federal agent embedded in there to make it more violent. Yeah, quick water break, everybody. Quick water break. Come on. Delish. Good for you, too. You're just a little fucking machine. That's all you are. You're just a meat machine. And the meat machine needs oil. And our oil is water. We are no different from a robot. We just have different ingredients. See, you got wires, and you gotta put oil in the wires. You've got an engine, a motor, and an engine, right? You gotta be watering the machine. There's Maddie. Everybody say hi to the Queen. Hello, Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Hello, Queen. Maddie. Oh, yeah. The bones are their money. The worms are their dollars. I am a meat popsicle. Yeah, I did know that the mitochondria is indeed the powerhouse of the cell. I was aware. What do we have here? I hate when you do this to me. I hate when you do this to us. Why must you do this? New York Times. For a second. I hope to God somebody who works at the New York Times sees this. I go live almost every single day. I cover the news almost every single day. I read a lot of articles. I will never pay for your shitty fucking subscription, and your fucking organization is gonna go under because nobody is gonna pay to read the fucking news when I can get the same fucking article from a different goddamn source. Either accept the fact that you're not good enough for a paywall, or just close the fucking business, you pieces of shit. You hyper-capitalist crony fucks. Pathetic shit. Ads on news is literal fucking cancer, dude. GOP Representative Byron Donalds faces shouting and critical questions over DOGE at a contentious town hall.
Susan, as a member of the oversight committee, what oversights are you imposing on Elon Musk and DOGE?
Great question. Okay. I guess they like that question. So, a couple things. First and foremost, when it comes to what Elon Musk is doing, everything that he does right now is in the auspices of being a special employee under the presidency of Donald Trump. So how this works is the president is allowed to have special employees. Every president has basically had these special employees. They're tasked with specific duties, specific responsibilities. Some of them have been tasked with going overseas, trying to negotiate climate policy. That was John Kerry when he was the climate czar under President Biden. And in this instance, Elon Musk is essentially the head of the DOGE that Donald Trump has set up in his administration. In terms of oversight from Congress, that's much more of an appropriations aspect. What DOGE is doing right now is they're going through every agency and they're examining any contracts or any lack of efficiencies in spending federal dollars. This is something that I'm going to answer you. Now, I'm going to answer you, but if you want to yell, it's okay, but I just want to answer you. Are you going to allow me to answer the question? Okay, so, like I said, what they are doing is under the directions of the President of the United States. If you're saying that oversight is doing,
so everything that they're doing is under the order of the President of the United States, you're saying. So does that mean that Donald Trump gave them the order to fire 80,000 people at the VA? Does that mean that Donald Trump gave DOGE the order to gut Social Security funding? Does that mean that President Trump gave DOGE the go-ahead to terminate the CFPB? Is that what this means? Oh, we've got somebody role-playing as a wolf. Bob Humphrey. Oh! I didn't know we were role-playing as wolves in here. Bob, if you're the alpha wolf, I hate to inform you, I am the mega turbo wolf, which is one step above alpha, which means that you are now the beta. Ow! You want to fuck with the wolf, dog? You want to fuck with the wolf? You want to fuck with the wolf? Ow! You want to fuck with the wolf, son? Mary Dresser with the $5. Hear me out. Let's send money every time he burps. Well, you're going to be spending a lot of money because I've got GERD. He called a woman a beta male. Sounds about right. Sounds about right, yeah? Oh no, Armitage Rock is the Uber Giga Bear, so he's even above me. Fuck! Shit! Chris, you don't understand DOGE, brother. I think I do understand DOGE. DOGE's job is to go into our government systems, and they're technically supposed to be finding waste, fraud, and abuse, get rid of it, charge people with fraud, and stop spending federal money on wasteful shit. That's what DOGE is supposed to be doing. Would you agree there, brother? Lakers fan? Lakers fan, would you agree that that is what DOGE is supposed to be doing? Yes, there's currently a whistleblower. DOGE is sending all of the information that they're stealing to an IP address in Russia. Yeah, sure, that's what they're supposed to be doing, Lakers fan. Okay, so Lakers fan, when it comes to like waste, fraud, and abuse, basic questions for you. This has nothing to do with DOGE. Do you think that firing 80,000 people at the VA, most of which were veterans, do you think that is an example of waste, fraud, and abuse? Because that is something DOGE has done. Do you think that's... Please read Bob's comment. My test is 100 milliliters. Oh my God, he actually is talking about his testosterone. Oh my fucking God, that's dude, that's the crazy. This guy literally sucks dick, guaranteed. Nobody has been charged with fraud. No, Kelsey, not a single person. Anyway, what happened to Lakers fan? Lakers fan, where'd you go, buddy? We're just trying to have a conversation. Where there's people that are like 120 and they're giving them money. No, first of all, we were just talking about the VA, okay? Not the fucking Social Security. We're talking about the VA. We'll talk about Social Security in a second if you'd like. But first things first, Lakers fan. Do you think an appropriate use of DOGE, cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, was firing 80,000 people at the VA, most of which being veterans? Do you think that was a good way of saving money? No? Okay. Well, that happened. Do you at least, like, brother, we have to find a way to agree on what facts are and what truth is. That happened. You at least admit that that happened, right? Can we have to be able to agree on things that happened. You can have your opinions on whatever, but there are things that happened. Right, Lakers? That happened? I like him for some stuff. That's fine. Sure, and Trump denounced that. Trump did not denounce that. He did not denounce that at all. I don't know where you got that information. But another example would be for this. Lakers fan, you talked about Social Security. Do you know that children whose parents are dead, both of their parents died, those children in the United States receive Social Security checks? I know that may be news to you because Social Security is usually used for people when they turn 65, but there is another program within Social Security, which is that children who have lost both of their parents get Social Security. That's a good program. Do you agree that that is a good program? That's an important thing to do. That's a great program. I agree. DOGE terminated the program entirely. They didn't cut its funding. They terminated the program entirely. Children with dead parents no longer receive any form of federal money. Do you think that's good or bad? Because I think that is bad. Can you pull that up, please? Sure. I think they're called survivor benefits. DOGE cuts survival benefits. What do we got? How about fortune.com? Dude, every single fucking article nowadays needs me to pay. Jesus Christ. But can you pull that up, please? I'm gonna pull it up for you. I'm gonna watch it. But real quick, Lakers, I know for a fact this is real, and I'm gonna pull it up for you. If I'm right, like, is that good or bad? Because that's fucking crazy to me. Oh, let's see. YouTube doesn't do links yet. YouTube chat, you can only send links to YouTube videos. Just pull up a credible source. I'm trying to find one for you, brother. Because you got to understand, you know the idea of flooding the zone? That's what DOGE, you can at least understand this. DOGE and the Trump regime has flooded the zone with so much information, so much crazy shit, that you have to really dive deep to find this stuff. Oh, yeah. So this is when, if you remember during, like, what you were talking about when he was like, there are 250-year-olds gathering Social Security. They also said during that, they were like, there's 11-year-olds gathering Social Security. Those 11-year-olds are the ones that we're talking about. Oh, here, we have something in survivor benefits. At the end of 2024, 54.4 million Americans received an average of $1,900 per month in retirement benefits. Yada, yada, yada. Here. 5.8 million received an average of 1,546 per month in survivor benefits. The survivor benefits are what we're talking about. That's the money that we send to kids who have dead parents. Their income is woven into the fabric of the economy. Since many Americans live in multi-generational families, a dollar spent on grandma's groceries is not the dollar that can go towards a son or daughter. When someone reaches the age to apply for Social Security, the first step, yada, 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 yada. Fraudulent fraud narrative. Oh, yeah. So this is... Fox is not credible? We're not on Fox. Wait, Lakers, did you just say Fox is credible? Lakers, Fox isn't even a news organization. Like, literally, they had to go to court and claim that they're not news. They're not even a news organization. They had a the Dominion lawsuit, bro. Well, it is. No, Lakers, bro, they themselves say it isn't. Fox News is not a news organization. Their own lawyers argued in court that a reasonable person would understand that the host's statements are loose, figurative, and hyperbolic. Fox News themselves argued in court and won, claiming that they are not a news organization. All news is entertainment? Brother, no. No. That's not true. Lakers, this is incorrect. CNN is an actual news organization. Dude, look at the difference between when you ask it, okay? Look at this. Look. This is the AI overview. Yes, CNN is a news agency. And then you ask the same fucking question. It's a member of the North American Broadcasters Association. Fox does not have network newscasts due to its lack of a news division and instead relies on the 24-hour Fox News channel. Fox Broadcasting Company. It is not a news organization. It is not credible whatsoever, to the point where Fox argued in court that no reasonable person would ever expect them to be a reasonable source of news. The problem is they know that you and plenty of millions are not reasonable. You guys aren't reasonable. You see Warfare? No, I did not. Excuse me. Yeah. Here's those survivor benefits. These benefits provide a source of income to eligible children of deceased parents, helping to replace lost parental earnings and support the child's basic needs, Basso says. Understanding how Social Security survivor benefits work and incorporating them into financial planning can provide a valuable safety net for children left behind. Now, this money is what DOGE is trying to cut. Trump and DOGE claim power to falsely list living persons as dead in Social Security. And it's the same thing with people don't understand, like the people who are 200 years old, they're not actually receiving funding. They are in the system because nobody has removed them from the system, but they're not receiving any money. They have a do not pay system to prevent the improper payments. The Trump administration made an unsupported claim that everybody in the initial group had either links to terrorist activity or criminal records, but in an internal review by SSA staff that focused on some of the youngest targets, including children as young as 13 years old, found no evidence of crime or law enforcement interactions. The administration's unproven claims follow its other wildly inaccurate and widely debunked claims about Social Security, including false claims of people who are 150 years old receive Social Security payments and that 40% of calls to Social Security come from fraudsters when evidence suggests that the percentage is minuscule. Thank you for the $5, Natalie May. I love the idea of donating every time you burp. Get this man some money. He's doing God's work. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Also, and DOGE is getting phased out. So do you like DOGE or do you not like DOGE? Also, Lakers fan, do you know about the whistleblower for DOGE? The whistleblower who said that he found out that DOGE is sending their information to a Russian IP address, and then the whistleblower got a fucking note taped to his door with drone shot pictures of him from above. Do you know about this? No? All right, we'll watch a little bit of this because we already watched this.
President Trump re-entered the Oval Office, billionaire Elon Musk and his DOGE team have been sweeping through federal agencies, accessing sensitive data as part of the effort to scale back the size of government. We're getting new information about the scope of that access at one independent federal agency. That's the National Labor Relations Board, which protects workers' rights to organize and investigates unfair labor practices. A whistleblower complaint filed by an IT staffer at the NLRB claims that DOGE gained access to closely guarded data, including case files, and that could have led directly to a, quote, significant cybersecurity breach. That whistleblower, Daniel Baroulis, joins me now along with his lawyer.
So this is the whistleblower, that's his lawyer.
Andrew Buckeye. Welcome to you both. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So Daniel, let's just start with you. You had been at the agency for about under a year or so. It was at early March when the DOGE team arrived at the headquarters. When and how did you notice that something wasn't right, something was going on?
Sure. I was doing metrics review, kind of looking around, trying to do optimization of our own, because we're always trying to save money. And we were identifying different things, and we noticed something that was off. Me and a couple of different people noticed different points, but it kind of added up to a bigger picture. They're called indicators of compromise in the private sector. And so when I noticed these indicators, red flags went off in my head, and I said, something's up here. So I investigated further at that point.
And what did you find as you investigated further? What was happening to the data that you saw?
Sure. At first, I didn't have a good picture, so I started to try to rule out possibilities of what benign could have caused these large exfiltration of data, could cause these large spikes of internal transfers.
Exfiltration of data, to be clear,
Sure.
You saw a large amount of data being moved out of the NLRB system, is that right?
That's correct, leaving a network interface that faces towards the public internet, something that would only occur if you were to transfer a file outside of our secure system.
And that caught your attention. Why? I'm assuming that kind of thing doesn't usually happen?
It was very abnormal. There's a 200 or 300% increase in that time period as to what normal baseline is. So that's definitely unusual and warranted more investigation.
And in the affidavit, you say that you detected the removal of 10 gigabytes worth of data. Do you have any idea what kind of data we're talking about? Why this would cause
And
concern?
we talked about this last time, but 10 gigabytes worth of data removed from the NLRB server and then sent to some mystery server, some mystery IP address in fucking Russia. 10 gigabytes of data. We're not talking about a game. We're not talking about a video. We're talking about fucking files. 10 gigabytes of files is insane. That's insane. But Lakers fan, this all went to a Russian IP address. And then this guy, after the whistle blow, after he blew the whistle, a note was taped to his door with his personal information and a picture, a drone shot of him walking his dog outside.
Sure. So what that data spike correlated with was data that was transferred off of an internal record-keeping device that was only used for internal case data. So this system only has the private information about union organizers, the privileged business proprietary technologies, competitors, those kind of things are in that system only. There's no other data, there's nothing else except that. So that correlated data spike lined up at the exact time window and the same amount And so that's what we can determine was taken, was data out of that system particularly.
So, Andrew, the White House responded to our request with a statement about this, and they said, quote, it's months-old news that President Trump signed an executive order to hire DOGE employees at agencies and coordinate data sharing. Their highly qualified team has been extremely public and transparent in its efforts to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse across the executive branch, including the NLRB. So, Andrew, they're arguing this is all part of their work that they're doing to cut waste, fraud, and abuse.
If the administration is taking the position that having data exfiltrated out of the United States government and potentially into other nation states, if that's about efficiency and effectiveness for the nation, it doesn't make any sense. Within 15 minutes of DOGE engineers creating accounts, usernames and passwords within internal systems within DOGE, within 15 minutes of the creation of those accounts, somebody or something from Russia tried to log in with all of the right credentials, meaning they have the right usernames and right passwords. And the question is, how do they get that and why?
So DOGE logs into the NLRB. DOGE creates usernames and passwords, and they start downloading information into their private servers. Within 15 minutes, somebody in Russia, from an IP address in Russia, logged into the same servers using the same usernames and password they weren't hacked into. Now, what does this mean? This means that the Russians have DOGE's credentials. Whether that's on purpose or by accident is a matter of opinion, but they do.
The second question that I have is that why is it that, from what Dan has seen, as well as others, because we have spoken to other individuals who are able to corroborate this, which is that some of the data is also using Starlink as a backdoor. And that's another way to get data.
They're using Starlink to harvest this data, and Starlink is so easily hacked into, not to mention that they're putting Starlink over the White House, which is fucking insane. Yeah, that's bad, I guess, but again, that's not Trump. I don't like DOGE, but Trump is making our world stronger. No, that is Trump. Trump is DOGE. Trump gave Elon Musk executive power, and Elon Musk created DOGE. Trump is responsible for anything that DOGE does. That's not up to debate. Trump is responsible for anything DOGE does. And I don't understand how you say that Trump is making our world power stronger. I would argue, based on my understanding of history and geopolitical science, Trump is making our grasp on the world much weaker. European nations are uniting in spite of Trump. The Asian world, Japan, Korea, and China is uniting in spite of Trump. China and Russia, they're uniting in spite of Trump. Trump is making our enemies stronger, and he's making us weaker. Can you explain to me, please, how you think that Trump is making our world power stronger?
Out of internal databases within agencies and Starlink.
See that Putin made a defensive deal with Iran, basically making peace in the Middle East. Lakers, you don't seem like a bad guy, but that's not true. You can't seriously think that there is peace in the Middle East. Do you genuinely believe that? Do you genuinely believe that? You can't possibly believe that when we are actively bombing the ever-loving fuck out of Yemen and Israel is actively bombing the ever-loving fuck out of Gaza. You can't claim that there's peace in the Middle East. What are you talking about? Not right now, but the U.S. can't strike Iran now without Russia declaring war. That's also not true. Russia and Iran do not have an alliance where if we strike Iran, Russia is beholden to respond. That's not true whatsoever. But also, we should not strike Iran because that's an insane way to start World War III. Look it up. It's new. Look it up. It's new. Let's see. What are you saying? That Russia and Iran have made a new alliance. Russia-Iran alliance. Iran and Russia are strategic allies and form an axis in the Caucasus alongside Armenia. Iran and Russia are also military allies in the conflicts in Syria and Iraq and partners in Afghanistan and post-Soviet Central. The Russian Federation is also the chief supplier of arms. So, I mean, I guess I'll just fucking ask Gemini. If the U.S. attacked Iran, would Russia be beholden to fight alongside the Iranians? Let's see. No, you're incorrect. On April 21st, 2025, Russia officially... On April 21st, 2025, Russia officially ratified a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement with Iran. While this agreement deepens cooperation across various sectors, including defense and security, it does not explicitly obligate Russia to militarily defend Iran in the event of an attack by the United States. You're incorrect, Lakers. Yes, they strengthened their relationship, but they do not have some sort of military agreement like Japan and Germany did, where as soon as we declared war on Japan, we were also at war with Germany. Can't share links in YouTube. Brother, you're incorrect. It's okay. Don't stress it. You're incorrect. Have a good night, Arbitus Rock. Have a good one. But let's keep on watching this, because I want you to see the last part of this here, brother.
Has now direct access. That's where information is likely, we believe, is funneled directly into Russia.
So let me ask you, based on the evidence you've seen.
Trump made Europe pay more and is stopping the war in Ukraine. Trump did not make Europe pay more. Europe is uniting, like the European Union, because they know that the United States is no longer going to participate in funding Ukraine. Trump also did not stop the war in Ukraine. Putin just violated the ceasefire on Easter and slaughtered a whole bunch of Ukrainians. You're not living in reality, Lakers. You live in a hallucination. Good, stop subsidizing Europe. I think you mean subsidizing, but sure, even if you agree to stop subsidizing Europe, he did not end the war in Ukraine.
Do you have a view about why the DOGE team would have been accessing and exfiltrating, sending out all of this data?
That I don't know. I don't want to speculate as to the why, because there are so many questions that would, some questions that would lead to. Yeah. But that certainly is the questions, why are they doing this? Now, part of it may be, there's a component where this could be intentional. There's also a component where this is simply sloppiness. I mean, another thing that we have seen within databases within the government, as Dan will be able to talk about, is that internal databases throughout the government have been opened to the open internet.
Yeah, that's the key. These are not just my agency, these are Department of Treasury, these are Department of Energy, Department of Defense. So these are the critical systems that those agencies use that basically turn on the porch light for other foreign nation states that come on in.
I have seen Don't Look Up. We are living in Don't Look Up.
And I need to ask you as well, Daniel, because Mr. Musk's own companies have faced complaints at the NLRB. We know he brought just last year a case to federal court, basically arguing that the agency structure was unconstitutional, arguing it shouldn't exist in the first place. Is there any way of knowing if the DOGE team accessed any information related to cases about Elon Musk?
One of the frustrating things about this is there's been roadblocks introduced along the way. One of the things I don't have is access to that level of data, those logs and records of what was accessed during that time.
Yeah, this is about the Russian IP addresses.
Missing, and just coincidentally missing after the data spike incident. No other period of time is missing except that small window.
Missing from your view? Would you know if other people have access to that?
They were deleted entirely.
You were able to confirm that?
They were deleted entirely. So DOGE hacks into the NLRB and takes secure information, secure data. Not only do they ship it off to an IP address in Russia, but they permanently delete it from the server that they made. DOGE covers their tracks. Once they hack into a server and they download the information, they send it off to Russia. They literally delete the evidence of what they did because they're aware that what they're doing is illegal.
Yes, I had another, yes, absolutely.
Another key point to your question is that, the data that was flying out of
chicken jockey
of NLRB was case-related data. It was their internal case management system. So given the fact that, an entire libraries or an entire encyclopedia.
As a cybersecurity student, this is like an S-tier breach and it's being treated like a minor nuisance. This is a Russian-sized red flag right now. Yeah, I know. This is just the NLRB, but this is the one that we found. This means that the DOGE team has been sending secret information from every single sector, including the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, every single department. They've been sending information to Russia. This is literally like a Russian coup from the inside.
Worth of information has been flying out. Is it plausible that would include any of Elon Musk's corporate information? It's very possible.
These are all questions you still have, but you don't have answers.
We don't have answers to that.
Can I ask you, Dan, big picture, was it an easy decision to come forward, to say this publicly, to get a lawyer, to be a whistleblower? Why decide to do that?
It was never a question whether or not to do the right thing. That was always my agenda. But how I did it, or whether or not I did it, honestly, was absolutely a question. It's my safety. That's there's so much at play that I didn't realize too, but I'm standing behind it. I'm putting my name to it, and that's just who I am.
You mentioned your safety. Why do you mention that?
We had an incident.
This is a difficult topic.
All right, now we're going to lower the speed because this is important, and I want Lakers fan to really hear this.
For Tan to discuss, but prior to our filing the whistleblower disclosure this week, last week, somebody went to Dan's home and taped a threatening note, a menacing note on his door with personal information within
While he was
it.
at work, yeah.
While he was at work, and it also contained photographs of him walking his dog taken by a drone. So
This was on your front door to your home.
Taped straight on, not inconspicuous, just right there in a white envelope.
You can't get any more direct threat than that.
Dan, you said this felt like the right thing to do. What do you want to see happen next?
So you hear it straight up. DOGE is threatening the life of this whistleblower because this guy is ringing the alarm bells to try and tell the American people that DOGE is a Russian front. DOGE is a Russian front, Lakers. They're sending the information to IP addresses in Russia and then deleting the evidence right afterwards. Yeah, that's really bad. I can't defend that. Okay, but Lakers, I understand that like there needs to be a line somewhere where if that line is crossed, you can't support the person or entity at all, right? And something like that would be like, I don't know, like if a politician murdered somebody, even if you agree with their politics, if a politician murders somebody, you can't vote for him. Now, the red line for DOGE needs to be this. You cannot keep on supporting DOGE and say that DOGE is a good organization, and then also say that you understand that they are willing to threaten the life of whistleblowers that tell the world that they are sending information to Russia. You have to choose now, Lakers fan. Either DOGE is good or DOGE is bad. That's it. There's no in between. What does Russia even get out of having this info? I don't fucking know. Oh, we're so fucked. Can you search that up? Search up what? I just see you say, can you search that up, Chris? Search up what? I'm also going to fill up my cup of coffee in a second. All right, I'm going to grab some coffee. You guys stay here. you guys hear me piss? Shit. Bro, aren't you communist? Like, you're just as anti-American as what you claim? Bro, I'm not a communist. What the fuck are you talking about? What, like, this is the problem with the lack of American education, bro. Like, why do you think I'm a communist? And do you even know what communism is? Lakers fan. A, do you know what communism is? B, why do you think I'm a communist? And C, if you know what communism is, why is that an insult? Dude, this is something that happens every single time I go live. Somebody accuses me of being a communist. We had a Cold War over it. Lakers fan, do you know what communism is? Tell me what communism is. Everyone equally poor. So, Lakers, do you actually think that's what communism is? Or do you understand that's what you've been propagandized into believing what it is? Because that's not... Do you genuinely think that Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto and it just says everyone's equally poor? You explain it then, brother? I will explain it, but I'm asking you, do you genuinely believe that communism is when everyone is equally poor? Is that actually what you think the entire political system of communism is? And that was how they rose to power in the Soviet Union, was by saying, we're going to make everyone equally poor. Do you genuinely think that's what communism is? Aren't you a democratic socialist? Yes. In practice, but not the words Karl Marx wrote, but look at all the examples in history. Like what? Please tell me some examples in history. Because I'm sure what you're about to say is that the USSR, the Soviet Union, was communist. They were not. They were Stalinist. Are you going to say that the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese, that they're communist? When they're one of the most hyper-capitalist nations on planet Earth, and they also have a 1%? So, Lakers fan, you think the Soviet Union was practiced communism, okay? Cuba, you think these places got rid of classes entirely? No more classes, no poverty, no middle class, no upper class. Took all of the money from the 1% and then evenly reallocated it to all of the civilians and then created communes across the nation. You think those nations were communist? Communism is an end goal. Yes, and we've never reached it. So how are you going to claim that these nations were communist and also claim that communism is an end goal? Which one is it? You can't have both. They claimed they were. Yes, and the Democratic Republic of North Korea claims to be a democracy. Do you think North Korea is a democracy? No, bro, they worship Kim Jong-un. So you're capable of recognizing the fact that just because a nation labels itself as something doesn't mean that its policies follow through, right? So you understand that the DPRK, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, claims to be democratic, but they don't practice democracy. You recognize that. Then what did the Soviet Union practice? Stalinism. It was a form of an authoritarian dictatorship. Stalin was a dictator. He executed hundreds of his own generals. He murdered millions of his own people. None of that is communist. There's Russian oligarchs, billionaires, the 1%. They still have classes in Russia. They always had classes. They never got rid of the poor, middle, and upper class. They never created the communes. You don't think they were dirty social its? Bro, I'm a democratic socialist. I am a democratic socialist. Genghis Khan was wild. Absolutely. A very wild man. Socialism is just less communism. So again, Lakers, I'm trying to get you to understand that you don't even know what socialism is. What is socialism? See, you are a victim to modern conservatism, which is just the third Red Scare. You are taught that these buzzwords mean an enemy of the state. You're a socialist. You're a communist. You're a Marxist-Leninist. You don't know what any of these things mean. And if you looked up what they meant, you would understand that these are insane accusations. I know I don't like it. I'm a capitalist. I started a business. You want to take that away from me? No. This is what I'm saying. You don't know what democratic socialism is. You think that I want to take away your business. Nobody wants to take away your business. That's not what democratic socialism is. Are you a billionaire, Lakers fan? Are you a billionaire? And also, Lakers fan, you do know that I'm also a business owner? And he said, no, I wouldn't be here if I was. Okay, Lakers fan, my belief system is that we need to increase the tax margins on the 1%, the billionaires. Because somebody who makes $1 billion a year could pay 50% in taxes. And you know what they're left with? $500 million, $500 million, and they'll be fine. But all that money can go back into our country's system and boost our infrastructure. Nobody is talking about taking away your business or increasing your taxes or anything of the sort. But trickle-down economics works. No, it doesn't, Lakers fan. It has never worked in the history of humankind. When you give tax cuts to the wealthy and they get more money, they use that money to reinvest it in their businesses and to boost their profit margins. Never once in human history has trickle-down economics worked. Please tell me a time period in which trickle-down economics worked. There's no way this guy's into troll. No, you have to start understanding that these people are real. The US education system has failed so miserably that there are people who unironically think that trickle-down economics works, despite the fact that it has never worked once in human history.
To the extent the Republican Party has any economic platform at all, it's trickle-down economics. Now, unfortunately for the GOP, it's based on 3 giant myths. It's time to debunk them, once and for all.
Look at this. I want you to look at this, Lakers. Notice, you believe that if they pour the water, if they pour the booze into this, it'll overflow and trickle down, right? You want to see what actually happens? The glass gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you never get a fucking drop.
Tax cuts for corporations and the rich create more and better jobs. Wrong. Corporations used Trump's giant tax cut to buy back shares of their own stock and boost share prices. From 2017 to 2018, stock buybacks increased by a staggering 50%. Lowe's spent $10 billion on stock buybacks in 2018.
You just punishment the rich for being rich. Oh my God, I think he's getting really fucking triggered. Bro, calm down, take a deep breath. Nobody wants to punish the rich for being rich. There is no such thing as an ethical billionaire, though. And Elon Musk is nearly a trillionaire. He could cut a check for every single American for $5,000 and it wouldn't even affect 1% of his profit margin. You are advocating for your own demise, bro. Why should you have to pay so much money in taxes when Elon Musk doesn't pay anything? He's never paid taxes. Donald Trump hasn't paid taxes in 30 years. Donald Trump's tax plan is to cut the taxes for the rich to 0% taxes. 0%. You are advocating for your own demise.
18, and then fired thousands of workers with no notice or severance. Walmart and AT&T also laid off thousands of workers. And contrary to the claim that
the dollar die if you give everyone more money, if the dollar loses its value. Okay, this guy may be brain dead.
The tax cut would boost wages.
Around a $4,000 pay raise.
A recent analysis found that in the year after the Trump tax cut, wages increased by about the same as they did before it, and then slowed. Tax cuts for rich individuals don't trickle down either. The rich simply get richer.
That's so crazy. When you give tax cuts to the rich get richer. Who could have pieced that together?
Before Ronald Reagan's first tax cut, the richest 1% of Americans owned less than 23% of the nation's wealth. A decade later, after 2 rounds of tax cuts for the rich, they owned over 28%. By 2019, after more tax cuts for the rich by George W. Bush and Donald Trump, people at the top owned almost 35% of America's wealth. Meanwhile, average wealth barely budged for the middle class and went...
We were richer under Donald J. Trump, the Anand Blair president. Oh, this guy's a troll. This guy doesn't even support Trump. You put up the bit for quite a while, Lakers fan.
Negative for the bottom 10%. It gets worse. During the pandemic alone, America's 664 billionaires added $1.3 trillion to their collective wealth and now own over $4 trillion. That's almost double the wealth of the bottom half, 165 million Americans. But nothing has trickled down. Even before the pandemic, wages stagnated. Tax cuts for corporations and the rich spur more economic growth. Baloney. Not even Ronald Reagan's surging economic growth rate was driven by tax cuts. It was driven by low interest rates and humongous.
You don't think we were richer under Trump? Housing was cheaper, like $78,000 a house. Yeah, so you're talking about the first Trump administration when Trump was handed a beautiful economy from Barack Obama, who pulled us out of the Great Recession. And then, the first Trump administration, Trump had a great grasp of the economy because he was handed a beautiful one. Then we had the pandemic, okay, which fucking destroyed the economy. Biden did everything he could to pull us out of it and did a relatively decent job. But when Trump was handed this dog shit economy after the Biden presidency, he's done nothing other than make the problem worse. Trump has only made the economy worse.
Government spending. George W. Bush promised his 2001 and 2003 tax cuts would pay for themselves. Remember that? By spurring economic growth. Well, that didn't happen. A 2017 study led by one of Bush's former chief economists found that the tax cuts had no significant effect on growth. In fact, growth declined, slowing to just 2.8% from over 3% during the Clinton years. The economic expansion under Bush was one of the weakest expansions since World War II. Donald Trump claimed his tax cut would be like rocket fuel for the economy and would spur annual growth of 3%. After its first year, in fact, growth declined. Finally, a recent study analyzing tax data spanning 50 years from 18 advanced economies found that tax cuts for the rich only benefited the rich and had no effect on job creation or economic growth. I, for one, am shocked. Deregulation spurs economic growth. Well, that's just more rubbish. The cost saving...
Listen, again, I can't stress this enough. You need to be so fucking stupid to think that trickle-down economics is going to benefit you as a member of the working class. You need to be so dumb that I can't fix you.
From deregulation go to corporate executives and major investors, while the costs and risks land on the rest of us. Trump's Environmental Protection Agency rolled back regulations on everything from clean air and water standards to dangerous chemicals and products, benefiting chemical and fossil fuel executives and investors while forcing everyone else to deal with polluted air and toxins. His Labor Department loosened child labor laws and scaled back the number of workers eligible for overtime pay. Companies raked in savings while workers were exploited. And with the help of Congress...
And okay, bro, Charlie Kirk explains it well. Well, dude, no wonder you are the way you are. You still watch Charlie Kirk. I used to be like you. I watched Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder when I was fucking 13. And then I grew up and I realized that those people's entire ideology relies on hatred and divisiveness. Charlie Kirk didn't even go to college, dude. He doesn't know what the... And also the same... Every time Charlie Kirk debates somebody of his own prowess, somebody like Kyle Kalinske or Hassan Piker, he gets fucking decimated. The only times Charlie Kirk can look good is when he goes to campuses and debates like 19-year-olds.
He rolled back banking regulations put in place after the 2008 financial crisis to the benefit of rich Wall Streeters and the detriment of everyone else. Don't forget, Ronald Reagan's deregulatory agenda allowed for-profit healthcare companies to flourish, contributing to the out-of-control healthcare costs we are now saddled with today. And remember, deregulation of the financial sector was a major cause of the 2008 crash, as it allowed banks to make risky bets. In other words, the Republican trickle-down claim that deregulation helps us all is baloney. Regulations that protect you and me from being harmed or fleeced or shafted, injured or sickened by corporate profits and services are worth the cost. So don't fall for trickle-down nonsense. Making big corporations and the rich even richer through tax cuts and regulatory rollbacks doesn't make...
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Real quick, Lakers fan, would you, if you're, do you have any children, Lakers fan? Do you have any children? No, I'm 22. Hold on. All right, so question, Lakers fan. I'm assuming you have children in your family. So basic question. Do you have any nieces or nephews? Anybody in your family that is a young girl? Is there anybody in your family that is a young girl, Lakers fan? Okay, simple question. Graphic question. If that family member of yours was raped and impregnated, would you force them to give birth to the child? Yes or no? Incredibly simple question. No, me, not personally. Okay. Do you think that somebody who would is mentally stable? Do you think that somebody who would force their daughter to give birth after they are raped and impregnated, do you think that is a sane individual? I think they impose trauma on the pregnant women. Okay, so just so you could see who we're talking about here.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped. And she was going to give birth and she would, no, wait. Oh, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's no, but it's a real life scenario that happens to
down.
many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question.
You had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped. And she was going to give birth and she would,
no, wait. Oh,
and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's no, but it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So
there you go. There's your champion of intellect, Lakers, saying that if his daughter, and he has one, if his daughter was raped, he would force her to give birth to that child. That's your champion, right? That's your guy, right? That's your guy, right? Now watch as he says, I don't need to agree with everything he says. Because they're all very predictable. That's your champion, right? Lakers fan? I don't worship Charlie Kirk, only Jesus. Okay, but do you still like Charlie Kirk after seeing that? You still like this man? That's not a red line for you? No, that's bad, what he said. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm glad we can at least agree on that. Why does the video discredit this Charlie Kirk's opinion about other things? Because there are certain opinions that a person can hold, certain beliefs, where once you find out they exist, nothing they say anymore can be taken seriously. For example, if somebody says, it is okay to murder children, if somebody says that, I will no longer take anything they say seriously, even if they're talking about policy, about immigration. Well, no, you're a person who thinks that murdering kids is fine, so there's no way I can listen to anything you say because you're not mentally stable. You're not all there. There are specific things people can say where you can no longer listen to anything they have to say. What if they say the Holocaust is bad? Will you accept if they said that? It's not about whether what they're saying is true or not. It's about taking them with a shred of seriousness. If you can seriously say that murdering children is okay, then you're a deeply unserious person, and there's no point in me listening to your opinions. Can you state a fact? The sky is blue? Yes. But your opinions no longer matter. Trump has denounced Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes. No, he has not. Trump invited Nick Fuentes to the White House dinner and actually ate dinner with him, and he has never denounced Charlie Kirk. I don't know why you're lying, but you are lying. I don't know why you're lying, but you're lying. Yeah, when are we searching for staff parts? Nice. What context started that discussion? You could watch the entire episode of Jubilee. You can watch it on your own. Jubilee, Charlie Kirk. Trump has also called Fox News fake news, but still loves him, and they talk about him. What does that mean? Anybody who insults Trump, he calls him fake news. If Fox News insulted Trump once, he called them fake news. They'll never insult him again. I still like Trump. He's made us great again, not Charlie Kirk now. So can you give me one example of a Trump policy that has benefited your life more than the billionaire class? And before you type it, you can start clicking backspace. You can't say no tax on tips or no tax on overtime because he didn't pass that. That wasn't in the budget resolution. So something that Donald Trump has actually done that made your life... You already said it, dude. You're so fucking predictable. Something that he's actually done. Not something that he says he'll do. Something that he's actually done that made your life better rather than the 1%. I'll wait. Lowering egg prices. He didn't lower egg prices. He actually purchased millions of eggs from the country of Turkey to artificially deflate the price of eggs, and the price of eggs is skyrocketing now because we've gone through all of those eggs. Not to mention the fact that the Trump White House just used 30,000 real eggs for their Easter egg hunt instead of the plastic ones where you could put candy inside of it. They're still cheap, brother. They are not still cheap. You are lying again. You are lying. So again, I'll ask you to try one more time. Could you please tell me one Trump policy that has benefited your life more than it benefits the 1%? Please, simply, one Trump policy. One. We're approaching the first 100 days. We're approaching the 100-day mark. Please, Lakers fan, tell me one Trump policy that has benefited your life more than the billionaires. I don't know a policy, to be honest. And yet you say you still support Trump and he's making America great again? I'm going to ask you again just so that you understand how stupid you are. Could you tell me one Trump policy that benefited your life more than the billionaires? Because you said you love Trump, he's making America great again, he's bringing strength back to America. Just tell me one Trump policy. Just tell me one Trump policy that has made your life better. One. Getting trans ideology out of schools. Like I said, my sister has kids. I don't want them being indoctrinated. So let me ask you, what do you think trans ideology is? Do you just mean like teaching kids that trans people exist? Do you mean like teaching kids that trans people exist? Get rid of that. That's what you mean? Not saying we have to call them by Z-zer pronouns. Those are called neo-pronouns. That has absolutely nothing to do with a trans person. A trans person is somebody who changed their gender. What you're talking about is non-binary neo-pronouns, which they do not teach in school. So could you please tell me what you mean by getting trans ideology out of schools? What do you mean? Teaching kids they're in the wrong body. So again, nobody teaches kids that they're in the wrong body. Sometimes young people have a disability or a mental illness that is called gender dysphoria. You understand that is literally a mental illness, right? No one's teaching them that they're in the wrong body. They are born with gender dysphoria. Shut the fuck up, Jack. He's gonna believe that. Shut the fuck up, Jack. I've seen parents saying stuff like their kids. Hold on. I've seen stuff saying parents like their kids were taught they're being the wrong body and there might be a boy. Okay, your grammar's so bad I don't even know what that said. Natalie May with the $9. Hey, I just want to say that if I had simply been taught that trans people existed as a kid, I wouldn't have gone through 2 decades of inner torment. And no, kids aren't getting surgeries. Yeah, I know. So listen, Lakers fan is so deeply spoon-fed propaganda that he believes. Let me ask you something, Lakers fan. Do you think they're putting litter boxes in public schools so that the kids who identify as cats can poop in them? Because do you think that? This is a very important thing to ask you. Do you think they're doing that? No, obviously not. Okay, well, you say obviously, but there are tens of millions of Americans who believe that because people like Joe Rogan fell for that and then covered it on their podcast and then had to come out later and say that that was bullshit. But the thing is, the damage is done. Tens of millions of people see that. They think that kids are identifying as cats and shitting in litter boxes in public schools. Meanwhile, they have litter in schools because, you know, when you were a kid and people would randomly throw up in the middle of the fucking hallway, there's 2 things that they put on that, either sawdust or kitty litter in order to get rid of the smell. But regardless, I don't know, Joe Rogan is a smart guy. Joe Rogan is not a smart guy. He himself says it all the time on his podcast that he is a dumb guy. He says it all the time. But I have another question for you, Lakers. You say that you don't like the indoctrination of students, the indoctrination of children. Do you think it's okay to tell a child that if they sin, they will burn in eternal hellfire under the control of Satan? Or is that not a form of indoctrination? Is that a form of indoctrination? What are we doing here? How you doing, Micah Lozano? Welcome. We're just chatting right now. We've got the breaking news up. I could pull it up. Right now we're just chatting, trying to dismantle some MAGA brains. No, we're taught that we're saved by Jesus and Satan is getting punished by God and doesn't rule, heal. You don't know biblical stuff. I was raised a Catholic for 16 years. I was an altar boy. I studied theology in college. I've read multiple versions of the Bible. I've read the Quran. I've read the Torah. I've read the Poetic and Prose Eddas. I know more about your religion than you do. I can assure you of that. For example, what does it say about greed in the Bible? What does it say about greed in the Bible? I'll give you a second. What does it say about greed in the Bible? It's wrong to be greedy. No, because I know the Bible better than you do. It says greed is the root of all evil. That's what it says in the Bible. So my question to you is very simple. Why do you support lowering the rich? The rich is the 1%. Why do you support lowering their taxes to a whopping 0%? But you want yourself to keep paying taxes. Why do you advocate for the rich and greedy to keep on getting richer? Why is that your plan? Do you know what it says about the wealthy in the Bible? Do you know what it says about the rich in the Bible? Because I do, because I know your religion better than you do. Do you know what it says about the rich in the Bible? What does it say? Thank you for the $2, the Dreamier. Here's some money for Beans and Luigi. I really appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. What does it say about the rich in the Bible? There we go. Pimpin' Central knows it's easier to fit a camel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. He says they can get into heaven because all things are possible with God, but it's hard to. Okay, so I don't think you've ever read the Bible, Lakers fan. I don't think you've ever read the Bible cover to cover like I have. I mean, based on your grammar, I'm actually quite certain that you couldn't comprehend it if you tried. Read a few verse past that verse. Oh, Jesus. So, again, let me ask you, Lakers fan, if I have a 5-year-old child and I tell that child, I say, child, if you lie, you will burn an eternal hellfire. Is that indoctrination? Yes or no? This guy, Commie. Again, you've reverted back to the Third Red Scare. You don't know what communism is, but you have been propagandized into labeling anybody that doesn't agree with you as a communist or a Red or a Marxist-Leninist. This is because you are a victim to American propaganda. So, let me ask you one more time. If I had a child and I said, child, if you lie, you will burn an eternal hellfire. Is that indoctrination? No, teach them that we all sin, but we can repent. So you don't believe hell is real? You don't believe hell is real? You got pork chops at the shops. I like that rhyme there. My daughter was also worried because I'm not a believer. I was going to hell. This is why children should be allowed to learn about religion without influence from shitty adults. Yeah, these children genuinely, like, dude, we're talking about some of the most susceptible minds, the most malleable minds. And when you teach a child that they're going to burn an eternal hellfire, they don't become a good person. They become a fearful person. So you think that if we sin, we can't be saved? Well, I'm going to hell and then you are and everyone is. No, I don't believe in heaven or hell. I'm not Christian. Thank you, Butterfangles VOD, for becoming a loyalist. W. Butter. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that you have a double standard. You say we shouldn't be indoctrinating children to learn that trans people exist. But you are okay with schools in Oklahoma making the Bible mandatory reading for all students. Let me just ask you that. Do you support making the Bible mandatory reading for all students? Yes or no? Valenti, what happens when we die if you don't believe in hell? Nobody knows, and nobody can tell you what happens when we die. Guys, this is basic shit. This is something a child can understand, okay? You don't know what happens when you die. Nobody knows what happens when you die. If somebody tells you that they know what happens when you die, they are lying. That's it. Facts don't care about your feelings. Armidas Rock just became a loyalist. W. Armidas. WWW. Well, no, what if they're Muslim or Jewish? Okay, good. I'm glad you at least aren't insane. I hope you understand, Lakers, that is the law in Oklahoma. And that is why they have dissolved the Department of Education and are trying to give the power of education back to the states. It's because red states are trying to make the Bible mandatory reading for all students. In Oklahoma, whether you are Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, atheist, it doesn't matter. The Bible is now mandatory reading for all public school students in the state of Oklahoma. Do you support that? Yes or no? No worries, Jack. Education is already proctored by the states. The DOE can only give out funding and grants. That's not true, Ian Bush. The Department of Education also established basic norms. For example, when the Department of Education was formed, segregation was banned in all schools nationwide. This is also the same reason why President Eisenhower had to call in the 101st Airborne to deploy against National Guard units in North Carolina who were deployed to prevent black students from entering schools. Also, in the South, they weren't calling the Civil War the Civil War. They were calling it the War of Northern Aggression, propagandizing and indoctrinating the youth into believing that the Civil War was fought over states' rights instead of slavery. The Department of Education forced all textbooks in the nation to label the Civil War as the Civil War. This is basic history. We've got $5 from Controller Alt Delve. I love how MAGA is still diehard for Trump and Vance when the late Pope Francis stated that they were unchristian. The Pope, listen, you have to understand, these people worship Donald Trump. The Pope means nothing to the MAGA rats. Even if it was Jesus Christ himself talking badly about Trump, they would choose Trump over him. These people do not have morals or ethics or a belief system. They are simply Kool-Aid drinking cultists. They praise Donald Trump. They don't care about anything else. I just said it, Chris. I just said, Jesus said, rend unto Caesar for what is for Caesar, and rend unto God for what is for God. That's Jesus endorsing separation of church and state. So you support the separation of church and state, and Donald Trump doesn't, and yet you support Donald Trump? You do know the Trump administration does not support the separation of church and state. That's why they created a Department of Faith. You can't have both. You can either support a separation of church and state, or you can support Donald Trump. Which one do you choose, Lakers? Separation of church and state, or Donald Trump? What's the DOF? The Department of Faith is designed to replace the Department of Education. They endorse Christian beliefs, but not a theocratic state. Then why did they create a new branch of government called the Department of Faith, which is entirely antithetical to a secular society? Why did they create a Department of Faith within the government, which is directly a violation of the separation of church and state? The Department of Faith is not Christian faith? Yes, it is. You're incorrect. Do you know who heads the Department of Faith? Do you know who heads that? This is the head of the Department of Faith. You said you're a Christian, right? Here's your leader.
I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven.
$5 from Packers fan. Hey, Chris, I'm a law student. I enjoy hearing your arguments about due process applying to all citizens, which it does. Keep it up. Thank you for the $5, Packers fan.
the quarters of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa tata rite eke banda ata rike didi. Hear a sound of shouting.
Wait, hold on, Lakers fan. This is your leader of the Department of Faith, right?
Being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa tata rite eke banda ata rike didi.
Oh yeah, so that's your leader, right? That's your leader, right? That's your leader, right? Right? No comment. Yeah, I thought so. I fucking thought so. Here, let's play some more. Let's play some more.
Mahanda akasata reke yamanda raboko sokota ronda yakande eke seke la mama manda rabakase meta rabakande e.
Yo, real quick, Lakers fan. These are Christians. These are the people you stand shoulder to shoulder with.
So yalamana niana no sakayato yakande ya makato
Andala fandala sindala kokala bengala tindala kongala fangala sindala indala konga bedinda sindala fungala dilaka yakatola sakanantila.
In the name of Jesus. Matarabaka sakatarababa.
The fact that these people are not paid actors.
In the name of Jesus.
The fact that that woman is not a paid actor should go to show you that religious indoctrination should be your main focus when it comes to indoctrination. Okay, yeah, that's crazy. That is the leader of the Department of Faith, handpicked by Donald Trump. And yet, you still support Donald Trump? Really? What the fuck could I possibly show you to make you stop supporting Donald Trump? What if I told you that Donald Trump said on video that he wants to deport U.S. citizens to the extermination camp in El Salvador? Would you believe me if I said that? Because he fucking said it. Would you believe me? He never said that? Really? Really? He never said that? Oh, really? Oh, really? You sure about that? Are you sure you want to die on that hill? He said it twice. Here's the first time.
Demanded the people wanted to change everything. And they wanted. He demanded. They love you. They love what you do.
Watch.
I want to feel supported. I want him to do, for homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrown's built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Yeah.
So that's one. How about this? How about this?
So the president has discussed this idea quite a few times publicly. He's also discussed it privately. You're referring to the president's idea for American citizens to potentially be deported. These would be heinous, violent criminals who have broken our nation's laws repeatedly. And these are violent, repeat offenders in American streets. The president has said, if it's legal, right? If there is a legal pathway to do that, he's not sure. We are not sure if there is. It's an idea that he has simply floated and has discussed very publicly as in the effort of
And now let's get another one. If it's legal, guess what? It's not legal. Lakers fans, it's not legal in any shape or form. It's entirely illegal. Lakers fan, it is unconstitutional. You cannot deport a U.S. citizen. Where would you deport a U.S. citizen? You do know that you deport you deport people to where they came from. You do know that, right? Not a cult, though. Not a cult, though.
Individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador.
Here, why don't you watch it from the horse's mouth, Lakers? Because remember how you said he did not say that? You want to watch him say it?
Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes them. What, do you think there's a special category of person? They're as bad as anybody that comes in. We have bad ones too. And I'm all for it. Because we can do things with the president for less money and have great security. And we have a huge prison population. We have a huge number of prisons, and then we have the private prisons. And
just hopped in. What's happening? We're trying to prove to this MAGA brain, his name is Lakers fan, that Donald Trump said he wants to deport U.S. citizens to the extermination camp in El Salvador. He said he didn't say that. I'm pulling up a video of Trump saying that, and now that he's been proven wrong, he's doing what all Trump supporters do, which is deport the goalpost. And he's saying, well, only if it's legal.
You mentioned that.
Which it isn't. It's entirely unconstitutional. You can't deport U.S. citizens anywhere because they're U.S. fucking citizens.
That you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens but are criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens, fully naturalized Americans?
Where'd you go, Lakers fan? Come back, sweet boy. Be brave.
if they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if they rape 87-year-old women in Coney Island, Brooklyn, yeah, that includes.
Trump shows us Jesus' love. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Hold on. You're so right. You're so right. You're so right. Trump brings us Jesus' love. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into our country. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue. An attack so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe Biden purposely allowed millions of criminals to enter our country totally unvetted and unchecked through an open borders policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America. He was by far our worst and most incompetent president, a man who has absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all of the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you with great love, sincerity, and affection a very happy Easter. Yeah, no, you're so right, dude. He really does just ooze love and joy and affection. This is just such a loving message from the President of the United States on Easter, our holiest of days. Isn't that, yeah, great. We love that. We love that. Lakers said he's doing the best he can. He might say sometimes he says stuff not legal. Yeah, Lakers, you are so deep in the cult, there's literally nothing Donald Trump can say that'll make you stop supporting him. Notice how in the beginning when I said Trump advocated to deport U.S. citizens, you said no, he didn't. The reason why you said no, he didn't is because you cannot support deporting U.S. citizens. But once you saw the video of Trump actually saying it, you immediately started excusing it, validating it, and finding a way for it to be okay. Why is that? It's because Donald Trump said it. You are in a cult. You are in a cult. I can't help you. We've been live for 2 hours. You've been here the whole time. I've been trying to help you the whole time. There's nothing anybody can say or do. You are a boot-licking beta cuck that will support everything Donald Trump does. As we just watched. Donald Trump is righteous, angry, cares for rape victims. Donald Trump is a convicted rapist. You do know that, right? Donald Trump has been held civilly liable for the rape of E. Jean Carroll. That is not opinionated. You do know this, right? Donald Trump is a rapist. He might say some stuff that's not politically correct. Yeah, like when a jury found Trump liable for sexual abuse. You mean that? Do you mean like when the jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll in 1996? Do you mean that? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're talking about? Judge clarifies, yes, Trump was found to have raped E. Jean Carroll. This was a rape claim. This was a rape case all along. And the jury rejected that, made other findings, his lawyer Joe Tacopina said outside the courthouse. The findings that Ms. Carroll failed to prove was that she was raped within the meaning of New York penal law does not mean that she failed to prove that Mr. Trump raped her, as many people commonly understand the word rape. He added, indeed, as the evidence at trial recounted below makes clear, the jury found that Mr. Trump, in fact, did exactly that. So, yeah, you're advocating for a rapist, too. So, Lakers, do you support this, too? Or are we going to say that this was a liberal judge and a liberal jury and fake news media? Is that what we're going to say? Come on, Lakers. Keep defending your God King. I know you will. We all know you will. Keep defending your God King. Those damn liberal judges, those damn liberal juries. Yeah. Terrible. Terrible. Ben, you the stock image headphones have got to go. You talking about these? That's all I got. What happened to Lakers fan? I'm going to go now. Thank you for the debate and talk, Chris. You have a good one, Lakers fan. I truly hope you see the light and you leave and abandon the MAGA cult. Because it seems like your belief system is antithetical to MAGA. You said that we should have religious freedoms and you can't force like Hindus and atheists and Jews to read the Bible. Trump disagrees with you. You seem like you're not a warmonger. Trump wants to go to war in 5 different nations. You don't like the fact that he wants to deport U.S. citizens. He wants to deport U.S. citizens. So far, you haven't agreed with Trump on anything, and I do believe that the only reason why you support him is because the people around you do, and you feel pressured into doing it. However, I do hope you make your way out of the cult, and I truly do wish you the best. Remarkable. Remarkable. Bro got hit with the truth like a freight train and said, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I mean, he probably got really uncomfortable when he finally found out that the person he voted for and the person he's been defending is a fucking convicted rapist. I'm at the pic beside Luigi. Oh, my brother got me that. When I move to New York City, can we go out for lunch? We'll do a big fan meetup. We'll all get lunch. Excuse me. Where's my money? I just burped. Where's my fucking money? Talking about your brother, how he's been? He's good. He wants to do a show where the two of us debate on Sundays because Matt and I, listen, I didn't know any of this. I know you didn't, Lakers fan. That's why I'm telling you. You and the majority of the people who voted for Trump do not know this stuff. It's not that you guys support everything he does. It's that you don't know that he is evil, heinous, and a fascist. If you knew that stuff, you probably would not support them. Thank you for the $5, Mary Dressel. But yeah, my brother and I want to do something where we debate, because although we are both leftists, he is much more of a neo-lib, and I am a radical democratic socialist. So we don't agree on the route, but we usually agree on the destination. And he wants to debate me on stuff. Like, my brother is very proudly a capitalist. He is an extremely proud capitalist. He loves capitalism. I think capitalism is antithetical to the ideas of freedom and American values. But yet, we both still vote Democrat, you know? My brother's 2 years older than me. Jack, you're at a red light. Put your fucking phone down and drive. Put your phone down and fucking drive, Jack. How you doing, Volv? Planning any DC trips or anything? No, if I went to DC, I'd probably get stopped by Secret Service. I'm not allowed in the White House. So if I went to DC, they'd probably think I was doing some weird shit. Can you drop some bars for us? Yeah. Fucking... I keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man, so he won't take... Oh, wait, no. I keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man, in case he comes to town. I keep a little dirt under my pillow for the dirt man, so he won't bring me down to his lair deep under the mountain, underground. Oh, that's where he keeps his dirt. That's all I've got for you. Listen, I think capitalism is good. Why is it against freedom? Capitalism is inherently driven upon profit margins. Do you at least understand that in this nation, businesses, CEOs, conglomerates, billionaires, they genuinely care more about profit margins than human life? Do you understand that? And we know this for a fact because the military-industrial complex is in the business of warfare. We make sure that war is being waged across the globe so that we can arm one side, if not both. You do understand that a good capitalist, a hyper-capitalist, values profit over human life. Do you understand that? Child labor laws are a good example, Jack. That's where I'm going to move to next. Not all. Well, Lakers, my example was going to be child labor laws. We had to have socialists and communists unionize and go on strike to fight for the right for you to have a weekend. The weekend didn't exist. Okay? The 8-hour workday used to be a 12-hour workday. Child labor laws didn't exist. The conglomerates and the CEOs tried to abuse the working class as much as they possibly could. No minimum wage, giving them dog shit salaries, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, children working in coal mines. We had to literally pass legislation to limit profit margins because they were abusing the people so heavily. So that's something you can't debate me on. You understand that we had to pass rules and regulations in order to limit profit margins for the betterment of humankind, right? I don't know what socialistic capitalism is. Haven't heard of it. Not gonna lie, kind of think that the Bible, the Vedas, or the Quran, the Eddas, and the classical myths agree should all be required reading. I don't know about that. Okay, Lakers fan says, yeah. Okay, so Lakers fan, I want to give you an example of something. R&D for cancer research and development for cancer medications, cancer treatment, right? Do you understand that there is no return on investment when it comes to cancer research? And by that, I mean you could pour tens of millions of dollars into studying research for the treatment of cancer only to discover nothing. And that's what we still don't have a cure for cancer, but you understand there's no return on investment. You don't get your money back for pouring money into the research for cancer treatment. Do you understand that, Lakers fan? Don't bully him for staying. I want him to stay. Yes, obviously. Okay, so Lakers fan, you know that there's no return on investment for things like medical research. And it's not just medical research. There's all different sorts of fields where there is no return on investment, which is why no sane person in the private sector, such as yourself, you're a business owner, no sane person would ever spend their money on R&D for cancer treatment because it's a black hole for money. It's just a money suck. You're not going to get any return on investment, right? So because of that, the federal government is obligated to spend our tax dollars on research and development for cancer treatments because even though there's no return on investment monetarily, it can help society innovate. If people learn how to treat cancer and how to cure cancer, it will help society. It will increase the survival rate. It'll increase life expectancy. These are all, so you agree. Do you understand that there are avenues of human life that we need the government to be using our money to create social programs? Otherwise, we'll all fucking die. Yes, I agree. Lakers fan, that is socialism. That's what that is. It's your tax dollars going into programs that benefit society. Society. Social. Society. Social. That's what that is. Did you know that the Trump administration just froze $2 billion for cancer research at Harvard University? Do you know this? Not everything needs to be government funded like healthcare. So you actually support the private healthcare industry. And by the way, it's not healthcare, it's health insurance. You support the for-profit health insurance industry, where if you can't afford health insurance, you'll go into medical debt, which is the #1 leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. You support this. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, and you support it. We pay for it in taxes anyway. No, you don't. No, you don't. What you're talking about is what I'm advocating for, is that your tax dollars go into creating free healthcare systems, and if you don't want to use that free healthcare, you can use your own money to go buy private health insurance. But if you can't afford that, there is a free option for you. You're incorrect, Lakers fans. You are literally advocating for my belief system. Almost every functioning first world country has free healthcare. We are one of the only ones that don't. Excuse me. Oh. Thank you for the $2, Mary. Aren't there subsidies for health insurance? No. You're almost there, Chris? Almost where? I'm almost where? We pay for Medicare, which covers mostly old people. Well, DOGE is cutting Medicare and Medicaid, so those programs are going to disappear. Same thing with SNAP benefits. Food stamps, all targeted by DOGE. I've never been to the UK. No. I'm going to end the stream in about 3 minutes, guys. I'm going to get some lunch in me. You're getting communism slowly into your brain. Lakers, we already went over this. You don't know what communism is. We asked you what communism was. You said when everyone is equally poor. You don't know what communism is. You're reverting back to the previous standpoint that you had. Move forward, not backwards. Don't move backwards. You don't know what communism is. Don't use it as an insult. And also, I'm not a communist. I have not watched This Is a Digital Coup, but I'll check it out. I guess you're right about this stuff. I'll do more research. That's all I want from you, brother, is to just do the research. And if you don't want to do the research, fucking subscribe to this channel. I do the research for you. I'm not propagandizing you. I'm showing you facts. That's it. Like when Donald Trump said he wanted to deport U.S. citizens. I'm showing you that. He said that. I'm just showing you facts. Anyway, guys, 60 seconds and then I'm going to end the stream. We'll make a democratic socialist out of Lakers yet. But then I see Trump supporters saying good points too. I don't really know where to be. I've never seen a Trump supporter make a good point. I'll keep the live stream going for a couple more minutes just because I want to hear what you mean, Lakers. Just give me one example. What good points have you heard from Trump supporters? What good points have you heard? And then I'll end this. I'm going to edge you on ending the stream. Come on. Oh, he might have left. Yeah, he probably left. Whatever. Anyway. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Costs you nothing. Helps me immensely. Big shout out to all my patrons and all of my members on YouTube. I love you all. Really do.